So we've heard from the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, with regards to business rates. And I think it's safe to say for businesses like hospitality that we weren't expecting to hear quite so many announcements made. I think we were expecting to hear small tweaks, perhaps, waiting for the bigger announcements in spring. But there we go. We've heard quite a lot more. But what are business rates? Well, they are essentially local taxes placed on non-domestic properties, much like this brilliant British pub behind me, and they are based on the property's open market value. But for pubs, this is based on its annual level of trade. Now, during the pandemic, these taxes basically were reduced because businesses were not trading, and what was happening was until the end of March 2022, the business rates relief was 66%. And after that, it wasn't quite clear what would happen. But we have heard a comprehensive announcement from the Chancellor, and he talks about business rates and also alcohol duties. He wants to simplify and overhaul the alcohol duties system. But let's just take a very quick dive before I speak to my guest, Sean, who is the landlord of this pub behind me, about his reaction. But we saw that Rishi Sunak wanted to modernise the system. They said from 2023 there'll be more frequent re-evaluations of the value. That will happen every 3 years. He also said there will be new green investment relief, and this will be to encourage businesses to get involved in bringing in green tech like solar panels, for example, into their everyday running. They also said there would be business rates improvement relief from 2023. Now, if businesses wanted to undertake property improvement, for example, installing CCTV, they would have to pay no extra bills for 12 months on that one. And I think most importantly for hospitality, for the next year, they're going to introduce a 50% business rates discount for retail, hospitality and leisure, so things like pubs, gyms, theatres, for example. And this will equate to a tax cut, Rishi Sunak says, of about £1.7 billion. And this received a big cheer in the House of Commons. He says that nearly 90% of all businesses will benefit from this announcement. So I think for hospitality, it's perhaps a welcome announcement. But Sean, this is Sean Hughes. He owns this pub behind me. Sean, how old is this pub, by the way? I think it's quite a few number of years old.
It is an old pub. It's actually 1420 roughly, so it's just over 600 years old. So yeah, we closed during its 600th birthday, sadly. But we're reopened now, and it's all, it seems to be settling in.
Brilliant. We love that British business. So Sean, just give me your initial reaction to the budget.
I'm actually fairly surprised at, like you were saying, the amount of detail we've had, and in terms of, it's an autumn budget. We don't really expect to hear big announcements, and we've seen huge announcements over alcohol duty. The Chancellor's recognised that draft products, for example, are very different to those in supermarkets, and is adjusting the rates of duty downward on draft products, which is what we've been calling for a very long time. We are, over the moon that he's recognised business rates are a flawed system, and that it needs changing, especially for the high street. This 50% discount really will help save not just pubs, but hospitality, cafes, shops, all the kind of things that you see on the high street, hopefully to ensure that they'll continue to trade. And I would imagine that now that he's singled that out, I would hope to see that would continue with the reform that is due out later this year, because there was a big fundamental reform which comes out in the autumn. We'd like to see more detail on that, but obviously this is a good indication, I think, that he's recognising that we really are overtaxed as an industry at the moment, especially pubs.
They had quite a lot of changes to alcohol duties, and essentially he wants to completely overhaul and simplify this system. It's a system that he says has been first introduced in 1643, but Rishi Sunak says it's now very, very outdated. They want to simplify this system and cut alcohol duty rates from 15 to 6, and they say it's supposed to be designed around a common sense principle, and that the higher the tax will be for stronger strength drinks, essentially. What do you make of this?
Well, I think it's something that should have happened many, many years ago. You know, again, with it, the recognition of draft products compared to products in supermarkets is key here. We've got a unique opportunity to overhaul this system, especially now that the UK has left the EU. Whichever way you think, you know, on that subject, this is an opportunity that we now have to address the duty system, which is totally out of date. There's 1640. We're in 2020 right now. As a pubs campaign in St Albans, we've always called for a level playing field when it comes to supermarkets and pubs. We want to see much higher rates in supermarkets and much lower rates on draft products. So I think there's a long way to go, but this is a very good start. Even things like levelling the duty on sparkling wine, so it's the same as, you know, a still wine. That's going to hugely help some of our English wine suppliers, which you know, do face quite an unfair tax on them at the moment. So I think we're in a, you know, it's a good starting post, and let's hope that he continues, you know, to see more in the spring budget.